Miss Martin Muses. Welcome to Miss Martin Muses, where we muse upon what makes me laugh, makes me cry, makes me happy, makes me sad, or just really ticks me off. Today, we're going to talk about, I guess, something that really ticks me off because it's bad and wrong to be a serial killer. It's really bad and really wrong. And I guess it really ticks me off when serial killers go around and kill people. It's just it certainly doesn't make me laugh. It doesn't quite make me cry. It maybe scares living daylights out of me. Hello, everyone coming in, and look who's here. It is Zax. Hello, Zax. Thank you for the rose. We send roses here at Miss Martin Muses. And, well, one thing I know the little flower would not approve of is serial killers. But why are people serial killers? What do they do? What makes them tick? I have some thoughts about that. Maybe maybe those of you watching might recognize some of these traits in people. But yeah, let me see. What serial killer do you want to talk about? So if you want to talk about specific serial killers, that's good. So what serial killer do you want to talk about? There are several of them that are just wrong. Fictional ones like Cannibal Lecter, of course, are really messed up. But one that really disturbs me is the BTK. I remember when the BTK reemerged in the early 2000s, what was it, 2004? And they were doing press conferences, and I learned later that part of what the strategy was with these press conferences was trying to get him to come out. They were trying to smoke him out. But my gosh, that man was one disturbing SOB. Maybe out of all of them, that one is of grave concern because he was completely integrated into the community. He wasn't a loner. He wasn't a weirdo. All of those aspects. He was married. He had children. He was the president of his church. He was a Boy Scout leader. He wasn't everything that you think about when you think about a serial killer. Zach says Ed Kemper was interesting on Mindhunter. Oh yes, wasn't that well done? That was amazing. The actor who played him, and it was based on real interviews. He loves to talk. I remember when they were speaking about the ones who caught him. They're like they couldn't get him to shut up. Yeah, very scary dude. Yeah, he had some serious issues, obviously, with his mother and all that. But the way that he went and killed people, young young women, and his youngest, I believe, was 14. He sounds so personable as he's speaking. You almost forget that perhaps he's a monster. The actor completely inhabited that role. Oh, yeah. Wasn't he amazing? My gosh. Did such a good job. He channeled that role. Mindhunter was a very good show. Fiction based on the who was the name of that guy? He wrote a whole bunch of books about it. I've read his books. They're really good. The the show unfortunately has not been continued. We were hoping it might. They have confirmed that it's done. Jerks. What is his name? Because I've listened to a lot of his books on Audible. The actual author reads it. Where are you, pal? I'm coming up with like Fellowship of the Ring. Well, dagnabbit, can't find his name, but he was a real dude, and he still is. In the show Criminal Minds, the guy who writes all the books and came in after Amanda Patinkin left, he is based on him. John Adams, not John Adams. John E. Douglas. John E. Douglas is who I'm thinking about. Zach says he convinced one of his exes to let him back in the car. Horrific. Oh gosh. Yeah. Yeah. John. Yeah. Thank you, John. Thank you. Yeah, everyone's coming up with it. John Douglas. John Douglas. Very good books, but very disturbing things that he's seen. There's a reason why a lot of cops just kind of have to quit or go a little bit crazy. I know in the case of John Douglas, he just about gave himself a heart attack because he just was so overworked and so overwhelmed by it all that and he had to slow down. FBI people. Ed Kinda. Is it Ed Kinda? No, that's not his name. Joe Kinda, the guy who the homicide hunter. He eventually had to quit the police force. He just couldn't take it anymore. Became a bus driver. Yeah, so we see we have Ed Kemper, the BTK killer. Son of Sam. Son of Sam was kind of disturbing, but for some reason, the ones where the guy like comes into the house, those are the ones that get you because that could be any of us, right? We're all hanging out at home. And in the case of the BTK, it wasn't even necessarily people by themselves. His first one was a family, and he killed them right after breakfast. Let's see. The Night Stalker, is he the one that was also pretty creepy? The one in LA who literally climbed into people's windows? Oh, yeah. Well, these people, obviously, they're very messed up. But I think what is so disturbing about them and so fascinating is they they seem to enjoy killing. It's for the sake of killing. Most murders, other murders are so-called murders of passion, crimes of passion, there or drug deals gone badly. Serial killers, there's no rhyme or reason to it. They just like to kill. Zach says, "Yep, Ramirez, he also lived in that haunted hotel in LA." Oh, lovely. Yeah, speaking of which, there was that weirdo, the one from about 100 years ago in Chicago. He had, like, that house of horrors. The chick in The Countess, the Blood Countess, she was messed up. 1700s, 1600s, where she was obsessed with youth and thought that bathing in blood would make her young. She would kill the help. And for the longest time, no one noticed because they were peasants that came and worked for her. She finally got caught because she killed someone that wasn't a peasant. H.H. Holmes, thank you. Zach says, I know a lot about this stuff. Mm. Indeed. Yeah, I'm not sure those are real. I know more about this stuff than I should. Zodiac Killer. Do you have any theories about the Zodiac Killer? They did a movie about it, which was kind of worthless since We never actually discovered who it was. I think people have a lot of theories. Most likely, I'm of the opinion he died, which is why he didn't reemerge. So many lost opportunities with the Zodiac killer. I think I saw something where they didn't properly investigate a comment that he had made because he left survivors. The ones that he stabbed, there was a couple, and he had said something effective. I I'd spent time in a prison somewhere, and they didn't follow up on it. A lot of missed opportunities. Oh, hello. Oh, hello there, Steve. We're talking about your favorite people, serial killers. We're learning how to identify them. Salty Texas C says, I can kill a box of fruity pebbles. Just saying. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, please don't. Oh, eating them rather. Oh, I wait. Oh my god. Okay, I'm getting the jokes now. Oh, I was slow. Cereal. Okay. I hear you. I hear you. Zodiac killer, possibly Ed Edwards. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know there were some of them. Best was the one who killed cornflakes. Or don't forget corn pops. Gotcha. Like I said, I got issues. I got issues. It takes me a while to get jokes. Well, I think I get in the zone. I get in the zone. Let's see who else. Well, there's lots of angels of death, and we'll never know who they are because they tend to kill in hospitals and in nursing homes. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, there's no women serial killers." And I would say there are plenty. Women just don't get caught because just the same way we are when we get revenge by backstabbing, we're also sneaky about how we kill. Women kill with poison for several reasons. One, it's sneaky and women are sneaky, but practically speaking, women aren't necessarily strong enough, so we'll poison the bastards. Everyone's saying hello. We got coffee. We've got everyone's saying howdy. Stranger Seek said, C. Kenobi was a former female wrestler in Mexico who killed piles of old people and robbed them. Juanita or Juana something. Ah, I'm sure there was. You told me also about a Swedish dude that I maybe should look into. Well, hello. I'm Kellyanne. So good to see you. I think we're seeing some new people in here. Always good to see that. And let's start to identify some of these serial killers. What are some of the traits of them? This is from an article. I always have my sources. Oh, Thomas Quick says Steve. Okay. Smooth talking but insincere. This is from insider.com. Traits of serial killers. Let me see. Oh, okay, you're not entirely wrong, Stieg. I'm not going to read that aloud, though. There is a lot of evidence that they will get happy while they do so. Some sort of sense of sexual frustration going on. Uh, it's messed up. And I should also point out the difference between a serial killer and a mass killer. You have mass killers in like school shooters, which I'm going to be talking about because I am a teacher, or I have been, and Lots of reasons why you're seeing mass killings associated with it. And of course, I've spoken very vocally about the violence that teachers experience nowadays and fellow students, which is something very personal to my heart. That's a subject for another day, though. That's a mass killer or people that, shoot up things in malls. When you're dealing with serial killers, there's other aspects. But when we're looking here, smooth talking but insincere. Now that could describe a lot of people. There's lots of people that are smooth talking and insincere, but they don't necessarily have go out and serial kill people. Melvin says there's a case in the UK going on right now with a nurse who is murdering babies. Oh my gosh. We had another nurse a few years ago, Beverly Elite, who was convicted of killing 4 babies but likely killed more. Yikes. Yeah. Not to mention, we do have a lot of mass killers of babies, but that is something that is unbelievably disturbing. It starts with an A and ends with an OR, and it has an ION. But for some reason, that's okay. Let's see. The one trial right now is called Lucy Letby. Okay, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. We also have over there in the UK, the Yorkshire Killer. No, it wasn't the Yorkshire Killer, the Yorkshire Ripper, which was you talk about a botched investigation. Oh my gosh, it just drives me nuts the way that investigation happened. Okay, but they're smooth talking, but they are insincere. But what's the difference between that and normal people? I don't know, but that's what they say. Well, I shouldn't say normal people, that's a different story. Peter Sutcliffe, I think he died of COVID a couple of years ago. Yes, he did. He did die of COVID. It's very interesting because there's not the death penalty in a lot of these countries anymore. These serial killers will be kept alive. I have some personal opinions about the death penalty. I don't tend to be for it. The only time I believe it is justified is if there is no other way to protect society. And I find it very interesting that the people that need it the most, if you will, the people that are completely beyond redemption are the ones that are often not subject to the death penalty, and that is serial killers. I mean, there's really not much you can do with a serial killer but kill them. And it sounds horrible, but these people are completely beyond redemption. I know, Steeg, I know. Well, it's like a lot of people, right? A lot of people have those characteristics. I mean, hell, I've had coworkers like that. I think, though, what they're saying is that occasionally you will find that serial killers will be very pleasant people. No, 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 no. I'm gonna judge you there. Hey, uh, no. Well, first of all, we don't talk about people unless they're here. But I will defend Gary from Nerdrotic, and I can say this personally. Nerdrotic is not one of them. If you have ever had the experience of streaming with him, talking, well, okay, it's public. I have publicly streamed with him, so I'm not talking about private information. Not Nerdrotic. You'll find that the real big YouTubers don't tend to be like that. They tend to be very sincere, and there's a reason why they are. Yeah, Steve, yeah, we like Nerdrotic here at Miss Martin Uses, but Gary, nothing bad to say about that man. Because usually the ones that are smooth talking but insincere, they get caught out pretty quick because you can't keep up a secret. It's the paradox that at the end of the day, if you're a good person, sincere, and kind, you don't get involved in any of this drama stuff. Yeah, you will attract people. Honey more than vinegar. Smooth talking but insincere. Oh dear. Again, this could describe a lot of people I work with as a musician. And egocentric and grandiose. Egocentric and grandiose. So full of themselves. Oh. Yeah. Well, like I said, yeah. Well, I'm not going to comment here, but and Miss Smart Muses, if someone is, unless someone is here to defend themselves, we don't talk about other YouTubers or other people unless they're public figures. For example, anything you want to say about Harry and Meghan, the Markles, yeah, go ahead, go for it. Yeah, public figures are fair game. And let me see. Egocentric and grandiose. You see that a little bit with Ed Kemper. Well, he seems kind of normal as he's talking, he just loves it. He milks every single bit of it. They also tend to have a godlike thing going on, a godlike sense of I'm completely in control. I'm completely well, they're playing God, aren't they? In the way they like to toy with their victims. Yeah, it's pretty messed up. Egocentric and grandiose. You see why it's so hard to spot a serial killer? What's the difference between someone that's just a jerk and someone that's a serial killer? Let's see. Maybe this article will help us a little bit. Aha. Lack of remorse or guilt. Yes, they don't have normal feelings, let alone remorse or guilt. I know it's fiction, but in Dexter, they how do I say this? They did a really good job of him having that dead eyes thing and how he knew that he couldn't have emotions, but he would do his best to fake them, which in itself was kind of creepy. There are a lot of flavors of serial killers, says Corey Cochran. Yes, and hello, Corey. Great to see you. Great to see everyone. And if anyone's new here, please like, share, and subscribe. We like to like, share, and subscribe here at Miss Martin Muses. Yeah, I'm I, am I egocentric to say this? No, I guess you have to have an ego to be on YouTube a little bit, but I'm not going to go and kill. And I do have remorse or guilt. Melvin Napley says, I'm against the death penalty too, but I also think it can be justified in some cases. I'm just not for it. Yeah. Well, here's the problem with the death penalty. At least the way it's been applied in the United States. It is not applied equally. If it could be, you kill someone, you're dead. And that's the way it used to be. It's like no ifs, ands, or buts. But nowadays, it can be, okay, you killed someone, but let's make a deal. Maybe if you rat on your other friends and all that, then you won't get the death penalty. You'll get life. Then someone else. So you see what I'm saying? It's like either it's got to be everything or nothing. This idea of being able to negotiate yourself out of the death penalty, I think, is issues. Oh, wait, Ted Bundy. Ah, yes, Ted Bundy, Melvin. Deeply. Ted Bundy was very charming by all accounts. He could have been a great. Okay, Laurie, let's stop talking about other YouTubers. Okay, and I'm not trying to judge you. I'm not trying to judge you, Melvin, deeply, because, yeah, Stig has said so too. But let's just steer away from that, right? Because I'm a YouTuber. Are you judging me? I'm putting everyone on the spot. How dare you? Ted Bundy was charming by all accounts. Yeah, yeah. Well, they got to be because they've got to be able to lure people. For example, Ed Kemper. Well, one thing about him that was so creepy, he's the type that people just wouldn't think bad of because for the same reason that he's the kind of person that he ignores, that would be ignored rather. The kind of person that everyone likes to say hi to, but no one wants to invite to to go to the movies with. He was big, big guy, clumsy. So, what do people think? Harmless. That's how he's able to lure it in. Hello, Jacob Ironside. Hello. We're talking serial killers. Melvin says, "I'm okay with the death penalty. The perp will never get a chance to commit another crime." Yeah. Well, and like I said, it's an issue. I think that there are definitely some cases where you absolutely cannot protect society. But the way, again, it's just not done justly. And not only that, it takes like what, 30 years? It's like ridiculous. Oh, everyone's saying hello, hello, hello. Nice. Oh, everyone's saying nice to see you. Miss Martin Mute. Oh, I'm a serial killer. You brought up, I'm helping you carry the conversation. Ah ha ha. No, Steve brought up YouTubers. So blame him. but and he's okay with that. Melvin Deeply. Hoyt Cochran says the killers with the most kills are all people who have tons of charm, or you forget them 10 seconds after meeting them. Hmm. Yeah. Well, you can be charming, or you can also be boring. People to blend in. It's very easy to blend in. Oh, fun serial killers, says Jacob Ironside. Yes, yes. Lack of remorse or guilt. They're not sorry. Uh, to be, someone can help me out here. Had there been a famous serial killer who has ever really said he was sorry? I don't think so. I honestly don't. Lack of remorse or guilt. Lack of empathy. That's also characteristic. uh, they just have no ability to relate to anyone else's pain, fear, anything to that effect. The Well, because how else could you torture somebody like that? In the case of people who did get caught and they just couldn't wait to spill the beans like BTK, you couldn't get him to shut up. It was so creepy when he described his killings, and they're sitting there begging for their lives. Oh, it's just so horrible. And they don't care. They almost get off on it. It's, sorry they got found out maybe, but not about killing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're not sorry. I haven't seen any situation where they've said, "I apologize to the families for what I did." Melvin Daly says, rewinding slightly, "I'm against the death penalty mainly because innocent people get executed. I'm not against executing evil people on principle, but the system is too flawed." Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's it's too complicated. I think it was easier, like, back in the Wild West where, "Oh, look, this dude killed someone," and so they all just go and hang him. End of story, right? Oh, everyone's saying hello and hi. Yes, what a pleasant conversation. But hey, what can I say? I had it on my mind. Lack of empathy. Lack of empathy. Something similar also with mass killers. They have no feeling toward the people that they're killing. Deceitful and manipulative. Yeah. Well, think about it. A BTK was able to keep it from his family. He was able to keep it from his church, from the parents of the Boy Scouts he led. He was a pillar of the community. He kept a job, stable job his whole life. Yeah, they get off on causing pain and fear in other people. Yeah, that's what makes him really sick, among other reasons. Well, sometimes there's a debate, is there such a thing as true evil? Like pure evil. And yes, there is. When you see these people, there is literally nothing good about them. Oh gosh, Ted Bundy, you talk about one. Was Ted Bundy, yeah, the clown killer? Oh my gosh. What a he had buried all those bodies underneath his building. Yeah. Well, and of course they can be manipulative because you have to manipulate the people into trying to kill them. Deceitful and manipulative. But you see how this could be narcissists, this could be sociopaths, cut from the same cloth, but of course there's that line of maybe people can have a selfish attitude, but into well beyond anything reasonable. And of course, it's always wrong no matter who you're killing, who you're torturing, but the fact that they have the ability and the willingness to do it to children. And that's why, gosh, BTK. I don't know how those cops or the people that interrogated him in other situations, especially where children are involved, how they just don't lose it. It's superhuman. Shallow emotions. Of course, I would argue they don't even have emotions. They don't have the ability to do so. I'm just gonna look here a little bit at the article if they, go into it. Oh, I can't believe we haven't talked about perhaps one of the most famous ones, and that is Jack the Ripper. Talk about messed up, and he really enjoyed it. I think that they believe that at least one of them, the letters where he bragged about it was sincere. Of course, looking back, do we know, was it really a problem that Jack the Ripper had with prostitutes, or was it that they afforded opportunity? Because a lot of serial killers will kill prostitutes because 'cause they're very easy targets. They'll get with you, they'll get into your car willingly, they'll go with you to a remote place. And frequently, even today, no one cares if a prostitute is killed. Let me know about that. Has there been any updated thinking that maybe it was not because they were hookers, it's because they were available? I know that that whole idea that from Jack the Ripper is what really messed up the Yorkshire Ripper case because they had it in their head it was all about prostitutes, and it wasn't. It was about access. Kelly Lynch says, "I saw a documentary about psychopaths. Fascinating stuff." Yes, and serial killers are psychopaths. Cannibal Clown Killer. Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, we got Shallow Emotions. John Wayne Gacy. Why did I say Ted Bundy? Was it 28 boys and young men You know what's messed up? He had family, and his ex-wife had been all it was always smelling. It's like, yeah, it was messed up. Corey Cochran, Samuel Little with over 90 kills. Oh my goodness. Yeah, gosh. The chess piece killer? He had a lot. He was a Russian dude. Okay, Samuel Little was an American serial killer, 93 women between 1970 2000 fine. Wow. He was convicted in 2014. Oh, and there was that one dude too who was the serial killer up in Canada, I think. He was killing people and disposed of them by he chopped them up and put them in plants because he was a gardener. And so they were able to find all the different body parts at places where he had planted flowers. Jeffrey Dahmer. Mhm. Yeah. Oh gosh, I tried to watch that Jeffrey Dahmer movie on Netflix. I couldn't. I could not. It was just too much for me. Too much. Harold Shipman, Google that one. Harold Shipman. Okay. Let's see. Harold Shipman was an English general practitioner and serial killer, one of the most prolific in modern history with an estimated 250 victims. He was found of murdering 15 patients under his care. He died by suicide by hanging himself in his cell in West Yorkshire. Dang. Yeah, Dr. Death. Okay, you know what? I think I might have heard a little bit about him. Gosh, that's messed up. But isn't that awful that it's so easy for doctors and nurses to kill? Jacob Ironside said, I've heard that people thought Jack the Ripper was a sailor from America. There were similar killings in the US. Oh, you know what? I have heard something about that, that they thought that either that or that he had traveled or he immigrated. He got out of there because things got too hot. Kelly Lynch says, or Lynch. I hope I'm saying this right. I don't have Netflix, but I wouldn't have watched it anyways. Yeah. Well, we tend to like to watch some of these. What I started it with my parents. What we didn't realize was how detailed. I'll leave it at that. We're going to go into it. We watched the first 20 minutes. And it was like, no, 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 no. Um, impulsive. Yeah, and the impulsivity part as well as the grandiose bragging part is usually what also gets them killed. They make a mistake. And that's what's horrible about people that are trying to catch serial killers. They know that. They know they have to wait till he makes a mistake. It's a paradox because while at the same time they can very carefully plan what they're doing, they also cannot stop themselves. Let's see, any others? Oh, poor behavior controls. Well, I think that's kind of the same thing. Let's see. What does it say here? Well, see, Dennis Nielsen. I wish I could stop, but I could not. I had no other thrill or happiness. He killed at least 12 young men via strangulation, then bathed and dressed their bodies. before disposing of them. Okay, that's, disturbing. Oh my gosh, Jinx! I think I didn't see your comment. Yes, there's another famous British serial killer called Dennis Nielsen. David Tennant played him in a TV series. Oh, boy. I'll bet he did a great job too. Again, the fictional stuff I've decided the fiction based on fact, I'm gonna stick with documentaries. Yeah, like, there's stuff I don't wanna see. Like, imagine if they ever did one based on BTK. I mean, that would just there's things that people just shouldn't see even in fiction. Corey Cochran says, "I think Dexter did a good job showing that part." Mhm. Yeah, it did a great job. He did. Mhm. They did a great job in general with Dexter. Of course, it's kinda disturbing that they made us sympathetic to a serial killer. Lots of issues with that. Though, the fascination with vampires. Aren't vampires a kind of serial killer? Did anyone here see The Fall with Jamie Dornan? Oh, I like Jamie Dornan and Gillian Anderson. So good. I did not. Maybe I'll look that up. Jacob Ironside said, "Getting to watching shows about serial killers gets dark fast." Yes, it does. Yeah. Guess I can't describe the fascination with it except for the fact that it tells you a little bit about human nature to the last season, anyway. Yeah, I've heard that about Dexter. I did not get past season 3. Again, I think there's just some part of me I just can't get quite past that. Um, Criminal Minds, I guess I didn't mind. I did enjoy that. First of all, at the end of every episode, they caught the person. Um, and because it was TV, they couldn't maybe get too messed up. Corey Crogan says, "Yep, Vaps go right into that as well as werewolves." So what does that say about us? Especially all that young adult fiction that romanticizes vampires. Thinking about the Vampire Diaries, Twilight, what's the other one? The Immortals, which is a spinoff. Didn't they do that a bit with Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Wasn't that a vampire? There was a vampire she fell in love with. Now, Anne Rice's vampire Interview with the Vampire series, well, that was adult material and it wasn't romantic, and Anne Rice was really messed up anyways. Killian says The Fall is one of those shows where you know who did it from the get-go. The mystery is watching the cops figure it out. Oh, kind of like Columbo. Is the Yuma bomber considered a serial killer? I don't think so. I think he would be under mass killer. But maybe he's a serial killer. I don't know. That's a good point. If anyone knows, help me out. Because one could argue that mass killers have the same characteristics. They like to feel like they're on the hunt. Season 5 is good. He gets a partner in crime. You get doing it. Oh, okay. I mean, the thing with Dexter is everything about it was very well done. I think I was just at a point where, I just need to just not. Need to just not. I think that's why, I like Homicide Hunter. Not only is it real, but you get a little bit of morality with it. He has a lot of good sayings. One of them is nothing good happens after midnight. So don't go out after midnight. And he says if Joe Kenda's like, if you don't do drugs, if you don't sell drugs, if you don't get involved with drugs, you probably won't be murdered. in his case, most murders would be drug related. Says your chances of getting murdered go down a great deal. Corey Cochran says season 5 is a good point to end your view of the show. I do that a lot, where I pretend something is the end of the show to keep the good memories. Yeah. See, poor behavior controls. Do they have any comment on that? No. Right. Oh, the next one, need for excitement. See, some of these aren't necessarily bad in of themselves. The everyone wants a need for excitement, but if you're killing people to get it, that's the issue. They get the thrill. See, Albert Fish is the example they give for this. A masochistic killer with a side of sadism that included sending a letter to the mother of one of his victims describing in detail how he, and it goes into detail about what he did to the daughter. Even though his own death, even the idea of his own death, he found thrilling. He said, going to the electric chair will be the extreme thrill of my life. You see, this is some sick stuff. Melvin says, in France in the 16th century, thousands of people were executed for alleging being werewolves and witches. Being an executioner would have been a good job if you were a serial killer back then. Interesting. Well, yeah, the numbers on that might be off because when I was studying history, but I get your point. An executioner is a good job to have, especially when execution was more common. Corey Carwin says, "It's what you do to get that excitement that's the problem." Yeah. Well, if you want a little bit, if you're an adrenaline junkie, go bungee jumping, go on a roller coaster. That's often why people like that. Killing, that's a different story. Where's the thrill of the hunt? Oh, yeah, that could be part of, yeah, Kelly Inch. Yeah, because part of, you're right, the thrill is the secret, the power. Again, it's the godlike complex that these people will get with what they do. Lack of responsibility. Chicken or egg here. A lot of psychiatrists, they've tried to explain the phenomenon of being a serial killer, but it, you just can't, because all of these things describe us at one point in our lives. Maybe we know people that don't have responsibility. It doesn't mean they're a serial killer. You also have a situation where, oh, he was beaten. His mother didn't love him. He was abandoned. It's like, yes, him and every other person on the planet has, but they don't become serial killers. But yeah, lack of responsibility. John Wayne Gacy allegedly, he said, "I see myself more as a victim than as a perpetrator. I was cheated out of my childhood." No. Don't we hear that all the time? "Oh, I'm a victim." I don't like the victim mentality. Yeah, lack of responsibility. And that goes to where I say, where ah, I just lost my thought. Let's go on to the next one. This is what I was thinking, early behavior problems. Everyone has early behavior problems. I mean, you got lots of little pieces of, you know, people, little kids that need to have a little bit of comeuppance, and they will. They'll grow out of it. We all know that. What's the difference between normal early behavior problems and sociopathy or psychopathy? Because of my experience, I think I can tell you why. That there are certain characteristics. For example, behavior problems where, okay, kid gets in a fight at school, maybe even a kid's a bit of a bully. Those kind of things, for lack of a better word, are normal. But I have observed, and it's a very difficult situation where there is pleasure. You can tell that the person is enjoying hurting somebody. And when you see it, it's a concern. It's a concern. Kelly says, "I work in law. Need I say more?" Oh boy, so you've seen that other side of it. I mean, obviously, there are situations that, as a mandatory reporter, yeah, you report it. You report it to the psych people and stuff. It's like this is beyond normal misbehavior. Kellen says, "It's been fun. I got a hop. See somebody soon. Hand pink waving." Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for being here. And I take off my hat to you for being in law enforcement because my goodness. Jacob Ironside, the Unabomber is considered a domestic terrorist, so not a serial killer. Okay. And I think there's probably a reason for that classification. Melvin says, "Who's the best way to hide a what's the best way to hide a body asking for a friend?" Well, nowadays, I think there is no good way since everybody knows how do I say this? We've got too many cell phones, we've got too many surveillance cameras, we've got too many everything. It's difficult. Not that I am endorsing that. No. All right, but well, what's in this article? They talk about early behavior problems. German serial killer Heinrich Pomeranka. When I was a boy, I never had a friend in the world who began murdering and raping as a teenager. Well, but guess what? So do a lot of people not have friends, but they don't do that. I really wish there were a way that we could do mental health intervention, but because of the way the laws have changed, it's almost impossible because you cannot do it involuntarily for the most part. And the only time you can do something about it is after they've hurt people, not before. Because there's gotta be a balance between one flew over the cuckoo's nest kind of situations and what we have right now, which is anarchy, where they make the schools the asylums, where they make the streets the asylums. The asylums haven't gone away. Adult antisocial behavior. Yeah, these can be signs, but remember what I just said. And then you got BTK who threw it all out the window by not being an adult antisocial weirdo. Gosh, this is a dark. Maybe I'll only do this topic once. This is getting dark. But yeah, grown-ups that don't know how to behave themselves, that can't control themselves. I always tell people It's like, "Well, why don't you wanna be around this person? Why don't you wanna hang around this person?" There's one thing that I look for, well, there's several things. Okay. The number 1 underlying issue I will have with a grown-up, whether or not I will wanna socialize with them, is can they control themselves? If they consistently show they cannot, it's like, I've got no use. It's like, "Go on with your life, that's fine, but you've gotta be able to control yourself. You've got to be in control." "Oh, I was having a bad day." No. "Oh, this person did this to me." No. Do you have control of your emotions, and can you control what you do to other people? Yeah. Adult antisocial behavior. What do they say here? Who's the serial killer they give for this? Gary Ridgway pleaded guilty to killing 48 women, mostly prostitutes who were easy prey and rarely reported missing. Again, that's why they like to do it. What does he say? "I don't believe in man, God, or devil. I hate the whole damned human race, including myself. I preyed upon the weak, the harmless, and the unsuspecting. This lesson I was taught by others might makes right." But see, isn't that manipulative itself? Isn't that manipulative itself? I was taught by others. No, 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 no. It was you. But I guess that if you were antisocial, that's again where prostitutes are good for you. Wait, that sounds wrong. Meaning, oh, you go to a bar to pick up a lady, maybe or man for that matter, and I want to serial kill them. If you're a weirdo, people won't want to go home with you if you're antisocial. But you pull up to a prostitute, say how much, and they'll say this, and they'll say, okay, get in the cart. All you have to do is have money. But these, again, most of these could describe a lot of different people, but at the end of the day, you will see these in serial killers, except there's just that never ending nagging question, and they did a good job of this in Mind Hunters. Even so, can you really, really explain it? You can't. I love it when they said to Ed Kemper, "Well, serial killers don't tend to do that." And Ed Kemper said, "The only thing you know about serial killers are the ones you've caught." Dun, dun, dun. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, kids. All right, so that's the end of this particular article. And to give it credit, this is from insider.com. So I'm going to be winding down this party. We're coming up on an hour. I always appreciate yapping with you all. Gosh, you all have given a whole bunch of food for thought about a lot of different things. As always, thank you, Melvin, Zach, Jacob, Steeg popped in. It's actually you were with us the whole time. We had a Kellench, Corey Cochran. If I am missing anyone, it is not on purpose. I'm just missing you right now. Salty Texas showed up, and so did, of course, Jacob. Hmm. Jacob Ironside says, "I feel really sorry for police officers and investigators that have to wade through this horrible stuff." Yeah. Yeah. If you've never watched Homicide Hunter, I think that's a really good show to show you because he often talks about his family and how he'll be like, "I can't share this with my family." I don't want them to see what I see. Melvin Deeply said, "If you want to be a serial killer, your best bet would be a doctor or a police officer. I would think they'd be among the most trusted people and they'd have the best opportunities." Possibly. Well, definitely doctors and well, nurses. And that's just what's so scary. We have no idea how many doctors and medical people. What was I watching? Yeah, there was an angel of death doctor. And not only was he poisoning his patients, he even poisoned his fellow EMTs. He was just a weirdo. Zach says, I went to a few seminars with Roy Hazelwood when one was a weekend thing. He helped develop FBI profile. No way! No way! Zach, well, let's stay in touch. If you want to go into more detail, maybe we could do a stream together about that. I would be very interested in hearing some of those details. Super interesting, but he's since passed off. R.I.P. Mm. Yeah, and I think that this true crime phenomenon, why it's so popular, maybe there's an aspect of all of us that we want to have control over things that we can't control, but focusing on things outside of ourselves make it easier. Make it a lot easier. It has helped me, though, in my line of work, if it makes sense. If you are an educator, you are a cop, you are an asylum orderly. Actually, you're more an asylum orderly than you are a cop anymore. But those are your top 2 jobs. You're a psychologist, you are an EMT, and then somewhere in there you get to do a bit of teaching. It's really actually depressing. So let's not talk anymore about that. But at the end of the day, you slog through it for those moments, for those kids that actually want to learn. There needs to be some serious reform in education right now. People like me, we've just quit. We're like, until you deal with this, we can't deal with this anymore. I'm a teacher. I'm not trained for this. And they're dumping the problems into the kids that are sitting, into your kids. If you've got kids in school, find out who's in the classroom with your kids. You'd be amazed. Ah, thank you. Thank you. He gave us the link to the Wikipedia. Oh, but as far as serial killers, they're so clever. So clever. The stupid serial killers don't usually get too far because they're caught very early. It's the ones that don't get caught that you need to be disturbed about. I don't know. Maybe in a way, COVID did a lot of educators good, if that makes any sense. What happened was horrible. Don't get me wrong. But it just pushed a lot of us past the edge. It was like, enough. It wasn't like that any of the problems changed, but it just brought us over the edge of what we are capable of dealing with. Melvin Dipley said, there's a documentary called The Iceman Tapes. It's an interview with serial killer Richard Kulinski. It's chilling. Oh, yeah. It'll really mess you up if people are sick. Oh, boy. I mean, think about, if you've ever read any of those Charles Dickens books, they're pretty accurate to orphans and little match girls, prostitutes, all of those. Just fair game if someone wanted to be a serial killer and no one would ever have known. And on that happy note, I am going to wind this up. I want to say thank you, everyone, for perhaps my darkest live stream I've ever done. I'm gonna have to talk about something happy next time. Maybe I'll do a Oh, I will do a Teresa Travels with my pictures in Ireland, especially since it's March. I have something coming up with St. Patrick. I'm probably going to release it on St. Patrick's Day. For example, does anyone know about the real St. Patrick? Spoiler alert, he wasn't that much fun, but he did do great things. He was a real man. He left us writings. He wrote at least one major work, historically documented person. He really did live. A lot of the legends around him, of course, are not true, but he was real and he was boring, and he probably I don't know if I'd have gotten along with him. He probably wouldn't have liked me. Although, uh, I guess I can say that all of the revelry and drunkenness, he would not have been in favor of it. Not at all. Zach says, "Thank you. He was Welsh, not Irish." Well, of course he was Welsh. Did I say he was Irish? If I did, I apologize. He was mostly from around the area of Wales and was kidnapped. And like I said, that's the whole thing. A lot of people don't know that he was not Irish. And well, just to give a little bit of spoiler alert, that he was a slave in Ireland and escaped and went back to England and was ordained a priest. I believe he even studied in Rome and felt the call to go back and evangelize his captors. Dun, dun, dun. One thing he did do was he helped us write the Irish language because there really wasn't a written version of the Irish language. And part of what he did with his work and his evangelization and his writings, he would he wrote it down and would use Latin loan words for something. So that's why when you speak Irish, you will see some Latin influence in there. You're just like, that's a Latin word. It's like, uh, the more you know. The more you know. I love the Irish language. I'm terrible at it, but I just know how to ask a teacher. Was it everything you would have to ask the teacher and everything the teacher would yell at us? That's what I still remember from Irish. And prayers and songs. You didn't say he was Welsh, but he's a patron saint of Ireland. Oh, understood. Okay, thank you. That's what I thought because it's like, hey, I'm a historian. I'm fussy about this stuff. Yes, he is a patron saint of Ireland. And many people are the patron saints of countries, and they're not necessarily from the country. For crying out loud, Saint Joseph is a patron saint of Sicily. He wasn't Sicilian, but I love him. I love him. What a guy. Oh, good. Because if I was giving fake news, I would have had issues. All right. Well, have a great day, everyone. Have a great day. And be certain to not be a serial killer because that's messed up.